Okay, hello, Kirsty. It's Mark Atwood here. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, very good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, well, actually, pretty good. Yeah, I've been going since about 3:30 a.m. today, so I've got like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
yeah, sending all the kids off and doing videos and work, and it's pretty. We've got a purpose at the moment, so I'm pretty fired up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and having a
Coffee.
purpose is a massive driver, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm on water at the minute, but
That's the one. Yeah, that's probably the best option. But so you're an energy healer based in England?
yeah, I'm in UK, I'm in Gloucestershire. Yeah, I'm a functional medicine practitioner, but I use energy medicine technologies. So I work with bioresonance and scalar, and I have some psychotherapy tools as well that I use.
Did
Yeah,
I
and a
see?
Reiki master. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Did I see RTT on your website? Was that?
Yes, you did. Yeah, rapid transformation therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking into that the other day. It looks really interesting.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. The power of the subconscious mind, it
Yeah.
just blows everything else out the window. Yeah.
What's the name of the person that created that?
Marissa Peer,
Marissa Pitt. Yeah, I was watching some videos of her the other day. She seems quite amazing.
absolutely superb. But track it back, and you'll see also that it links back to very much the Silver method and the teachings of Jose Silva. So if you look at all the,
Ah, yeah,
yeah, have you heard of the Silver method?
yeah, yeah. I have.
Yes, the
I have.
Silver method graduate as well. So yeah, we,
And I'll just say to anybody watching this, part of my healing included Reiki, energy healing, spiritual healing, everything. I've done
yeah.
pretty much everything there is just to heal myself, and everybody should try it out, in my opinion. But anyway, we're here to talk about awakening.
Yeah.
So, what's your awakening story? Over to you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll say straight away, I've always been highly intuitive. I was psychic, as a kid. I think we all are, but it gets closed down, doesn't it? And I always had an interest in energy therapies. I used to play with energy, and even as a kid, I'm sure I had my own way of meditating, although I wouldn't have known that was what it was at the time. I just used to call it my flip, where if I didn't like the circumstances I was in, and none of them were completely bad compared with today's standards, but I would just do this thing. I would just flip into this beautiful space, which was just great. And I would be floating around, I assume, in the universe, and sounds a bit crazy to say. And then I would hear my dad say, "Oh, isn't she gormless at times?" And I'd be thinking, "No, I'm not. I'm having a lovely time." So, but I think as we get older, it sort of gets maybe beaten out of us. And my big thing is I've always asked questions. I've asked questions all through my life, and what I do now in my therapies, functional medicine is all about asking questions. Energy medicine technologies is about asking questions. Rapid transformation therapy is about asking questions, and I've never stopped. And the importance of the questions and the question you ask is what pulls the right answers, and that's my passion, asking questions to get the answers that we're looking for
That's why I
me,
started this channel.
clients.
That's why I started this channel, to ask questions to get more answers.
Absolutely, cute, wonderful. Okay, so I was always along those lines, but my real spiritual awakening has to go back 18 years ago when I was having my son, my firstborn. And, I got into complications. I was there with my husband, after 24 hours in labour, I was thinking, gosh, this isn't going well. And at the time I was told I was going to have a cesarean, my husband was at the side of me, very, very distressed at having to sign to say, save the baby, not your wife, And I thought, oh God, I wasn't expecting this, So I'd gone in there thinking, oh, I'm going to have a water birth. This is going to be a lovely experience. And there I was, paracetamol, gas and air, second epidural, first one fell out. None of it was working. I was in huge pain, and I just thought, right, okay. And in that moment, I called out for help. And, I hear this wherever, you look at Abraham Hicks, asking it's given, you look at Harry Potter, help will come to those who wait. Help came in the form that as I was laid there, I felt a gush of wind, the door opening, and I felt somebody come inside me and pick up my hand. And the words in my head were, now you know how it feels. and I'll come back to those words in a minute. But my husband at the time was holding my left hand, and I said to him, okay, you're not going to believe this. You're going to think I'm on drugs, but your dad's here. And I knew it was his dad because of what he'd said to me. And he said, you've had a lot of drugs, Kirsty, and I'm not sure if you're quite with us, but okay, that's fine if that's what you're thinking. That's okay. And I said, no, he's definitely here, Andrew. I knew you wouldn't believe me. And he said, well, why do you think that? And I said, because he's holding my hand. And he went, I'm holding your hand. And I went, no, you're holding my left hand. Your dad's holding my right hand. Now, yes, I'd had every drug going. Yes, I was in quite traumatic situation. I could have been dreaming. I was in and out of consciousness. I was, but what I would say is it didn't matter. From the minute that experience happened, I knew everything was going to be okay. And the comfort level I had, knowing that I had these two men holding my hand, my little boy was born, he was brought out safe, happy, beautiful. And I remember, talking to my father-in-law saying, you weren't here for me, were you? We're here for him. And we had almost a laugh about it at the end, And the words he said to me, that made me knew it was him. He said to me, now you know how it feels. And the thing is, we'd lost him about a year or so earlier to cancer. And when he was at the hospice in the end, I didn't know him very well, but I did sit with him and I used to hold his hand. And again, I would see his eyes rolling and he was on morphine. And I would say to him, I have no idea how it feels to be in your situation. So I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to talk to you. And you probably want me to shut up. And I'm sorry, but it's nice to have this opportunity. And I'm sorry, I don't know how you're feeling. So when this gush of wind came in and this hand was picked up and he said, now you know how it feels. The comfort got me through, bringing my little boy, so that was the first experience. Okay.
Yeah.
And there I was bringing up my son who had some health challenges, not to a great extent, but that's where the rabbit holes started going. And I went down lots of different rabbit holes.
This does sound quite similar to my own journey because my first son was born by emergency cesarean. You just made me immediately think of the vitamin K dilemma in the hospital.
Yeah, sure. So and having a cesarean, you can't breastfeed. So what I know now as a health practitioner, because I work with children on the autism spectrum, and I work with adults with Lyme disease, chronic fatigue, all those type illnesses, the compromised immune system. That's very much how I've sort of niched in my area. But it was because of my son's health challenges, so starting to not meet the development targets, we started to question, is he dyslexic, etc., too young to test, silly things, early earache, okay? And when I went to, I had a very good friend at the time, which was midwife, and I feel very blessed for having that situation. And I want to mention here Dr. Andrew Wakefield, because my son was born in 2002. And of course, there was all the hype about Andrew Wakefield, the MMR, etc. Now, I had this midwife friend, she says, what are you thinking with vaccinations? And I said, I don't know, I'm going to look into it. And I just want to say, there but for the grace of God go I, because if I hadn't been aware of Dr. Wakefield and his work, no matter how dismissed and debunked and it had been, when I took my son for the MMR, I would have never mentioned an incident where literally the week before he'd had this little incident, he sort of rolled his eyes. For a second, it seemed almost like he'd lost consciousness. But because that was in my consciousness, I mentioned it to the nurse. And she said, Mrs. Terry, we're not going to do his vaccination today. I want you to go home and I want you to think about it, research it, and don't bring him back and don't let anybody convince you for another one.
Wow.
Until he is in 100% health, no fevers, no pain, no incidents. And, again, thank God.
Lucky shooter there.
Yeah, sure. So, in the end I did, because I thought that's what you do. You're told to do it, you're invited. And I didn't know what I know now then. So then we had the earaches. then, you know, my son took himself off ice cream. Kid on ice cream, come on, stop eating ice cream, age 2. Then gluten came a problem, the eczema flared up, the constipation. So I went down all those, you know, areas with him. And then, as much as I do believe I had my spiritual awakening when he was born, I do believe it takes a major life event to, you know, it's that, I call it self-correcting mechanism of the universe. You know, it'll give you a little nudge. If you don't listen, it'll give you a push.
Yeah.
If you're still not listening, it's a whack. And then wow, you are flawed. Okay, so there I was, totally flawed. And this is about 10 years later. And that flooring to me was the end of my marriage, my business taken away from me, left in a house I couldn't afford to live in, crippling mortgage, 2 young children, qualifications 10 years out of date, no idea what I was going to do. A pretty dire situation. And I was also in a situation where I couldn't hide away because I had to take my children to school every day. I had to face the horrific circumstances of the environment I was in.
Yeah. And
again, I had to ask for help. I had to say, give me the strength to get up every day and take my kids to school and get through this day. And again, it was made available to me. You know, I would feel awful and then there would be a beautiful sunshine, or, you know, I would be going to get in the car and the birds would be singing, and I couldn't help but think, that's been sent to help me. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm so grateful and thankful. Okay. But that event then took me back to university. Okay, so I went and did my master's, and I did it in something called nutrition, physical activity and public health, which essentially is epidemiology, which has obviously become quite an important word in the current environment. So study after study after study, we were dealing with the 5 non-communicable diseases, you know, the cancers, the metabolic syndrome, the diabetes, the mental health, those sort of things. What is the link? Diet, exercise, diet, exercise, diet, exercise. But study after study after study, you know, diet and exercise better than metformin. Why are we drugging people? You know, gosh, you just come out and you think, wow. And I went into the weight loss field originally because I'd lost a lot of weight at the time through Slimming World. I did my dissertation for Slimming World. I thought I can help people. But the people who were coming to me were overweight as what I would describe as a symptom of ill health.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can't deal with your weight because we have to deal with your health, you know. And to me, the nutrition wasn't enough. And that's when the energy medicine side of it came to me. I was introduced to bioresonance. So I got my Asira and I started to work. But to get practice with the Asira, I asked my friends if I could work with their kids.
All right,
so the Asira is a bioresonance device. So it's energy medicine. You sit there and it does energetic health screening. So it's not a diagnostic tool. It's grounded in the principles of kinesiology.
Yeah.
So again, we're asking questions. We're asking the body questions, but we're doing it in real time, energetically, quick. Very, you know, I can run screening programs in seconds to minutes. So, okay. So not recognizing the medical field, it's not a medical device, but my God.
No, that's probably why I like it then.
Yes, absolutely. And I lost years and months of my life in that device because it's phenomenal. And what it tells you about somebody, because what it's doing, it's working on your consciousness and it's bringing forward what can we deal with right now. So like the layers of an onion, if you want the root bulb, you don't just go in and grab it, you know, you delayer and it's tidy. It's a tidy way to heal people. But I'd asked my friend, I needed to practice with people. I asked my friends, I said, would you mind if I, you know, screened you? And they all said, yeah, great. Can you do our kids? And then there was another, you know, light bulb realization moment. You know, of my 5 friends, between us, we had 10 children. One of them was autistic. One of them was Asperger's. One of them was walking around on tiptoes. 4 of them had allergies. 3 of them weren't sleeping at night. 2 of them had eczema. 2 of them had asthma. Now there's more health conditions there than there is kids. So we're dealing with more than, you know. Yeah. And I looked at those kids and I thought, my God, what is going on with our children? You know, I grew up in the Yorkshire Dales. We drank the raw milk at break time at school. I can remember in our infant school, we had 2 people who were obese. There was no allergies, there was no ADHD, there was no ADD. We had 2 children, brother and sister, who were a little bit overweight, and they were known as the family who were a little bit hard up, okay? And I just thought, everybody's talking about their kids' allergies and they can't have this, and I was just thinking, this is
ridiculous, isn't it?
This is crazy. What is going on? So, yeah, I had my nutrition background. I'm a food scientist from my first degree. I was trained by then as a nutritionist. The energy medicine was kicking in, and I got into the work of Natasha Campbell-McBride, who did the GAPS diet. I looked at the work of cease therapy, Tyner Smith, who works. I'm not a homeopath. I'm an energetic, but he did homeopathy for eliminating autism spectrums, and then I got into the work of Nambi Drypad, the allergy elimination. All these things were coming together, and I thought, I need to work with children, because this is really, look at our children. And of course the autism rates were, you know, increasing. We know from the twins studies it wasn't genetic. Absolutely. So I thought, I need more training in this area, you know. And I was starting to go to autism exhibitions, which was horrific, because people didn't want you there. You know, they wanted to know how they could get their diagnosis, what it meant for them in terms of help and support, but nobody was talking about helping your child, the underlying health conditions which were really at the root cause of the behaviour, you know. And I was seeing things in my bioresonance, and I couldn't explain a lot of them. So, for example, I had to say to one mum, do you know, this is really strange. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just going to tell you it as it is. But I've got a screen here, and it's come up with acid rain at the top of the screen. And does that mean anything to you at all? And this little boy was having severe problems at school, and I ended up dealing with the kids who either had the really bad behaviour or were about to get expelled. That tended to be where I was going. So this little boy, he was on a 2nd, 3rd warning. He'd hit a teacher. They were having real problems. And she says, oh, I can explain that perfectly. She says, any sight of rain, I cannot get him to school. You know, she said, I can't get him in the shower. And I thought, why would that be? But then it made sense. Our children are so sensitive to their environment. Not consciously, they can't explain it to us, but what happens is their body gives them signals and they respond, and that's how their behaviour plays out. And I had another little boy who had a dust allergy. Well, he would have a screaming fit for half an hour if his mum went in and hoovered his bedroom, because it was stirring up all the dust. He didn't know he had a dust allergy. He didn't know what the problem was. The mother didn't know. And I was getting information here which was highly, highly useful to these parents who were just, you know, tearing the hair out. So I knew I needed more training in this area. I thought, yeah, I've got a lot of questions here. So I went to some autism seminars with a person who I believe is the leading light in this area. I won't mention his name because I know he's under threat. But I learned so much from him, and through that, then the rabbit holes really opened. It confirmed what I'd known with my son about, you know, the environmental toxicants, not just the food, but the medications, the vaccinations, that I was seeing the harmful energies, you know, which was coming from the Wi-Fi. Try and talk to the school and say, hey, there's somebody talking about Wi-Fi. I think you need to be aware of it, how it's impacting the kids. No, not interested. Closed doors.
It's amazing how they're not interested.
Closed doors, Mark, were just boom, boom, boom. Nobody wanted this. But that's how I was introduced to the work of Dr. Judah Mikovits as well. You know, Andrew Wakefield in that arena is a hero to us all, because he shone the light on it. You know,
great heroes of this time.
Absolutely. So I've been down that area, and what I will say as well is it's very hard to stomach what you learn. And I came back from these places feeling sick, feeling angry, feeling like a voice I wasn't unheard, feeling that every door was shut to me. Nobody wanted it, you know, being insulted. If I went to an impression, I've had people I've gone along with being abused by other people. I've been trolled online by people. People have written horrible things, and it's not nice. But what I will say is you know, you feel angry towards your government, you feel angry towards the powers that be, and you feel defenseless. But the worst situation is when you've got an ex-partner who is, they're due their vaccines, please take them, and you're thinking, I've spent 10 years researching this, I know all this, I understand that we are both parents, we both have the same goal in mind, but we are poles apart.
Yeah.
How can we get to the point where we are not at each other's throats and we can sit down and say, I appreciate where you're coming from. Can you please see where I'm coming from, so that we can ask the questions to those who can answer them, so we can make a joint, informed decision about our children. And that informed decision is a thing that sticks in my throat, because we are not given informed consent, because we are not fully told the picture of, you know, and you know, Brian Rose is doing a superb job with the London Real Army in terms of, you know, getting the Bobby Kennedys and the, you know, Dr. Tempany and Judy Mikovits on the platform to share this information. So, you know, and people like yourself, you know, talking about this stuff, you know. So, you know, as well as being the conspiracy theorist, I like, you know, we know it's a CIA term, they weaponized it. You know what, I'm a truth seeker, Mark. I'm not, you know.
Yeah, well, this is, you know, this is the thing. It's not a conspiracy theory when you piece it together. It's just a conspiracy.
Yeah, when you have a question.
There's one conspiracy, and that is total emasculation and control of the human race. And they do it through full spectrum domination. So it's heartbreaking, isn't it, when you start to realize that, because it starts with something like vaccines, and then if you are like you said at the beginning, you question everything. And this is what I try to tell my kids. This morning I dropped off my little girl and I said, be as rebellious as you can, daydream as you can, question everything, including what I've just said to you. And I say that to them all the time. Doesn't mean it's going to work. I mean, they're going to be their own person. But when what you've described is, I relate to 100%, because it's really difficult when you've got everybody around you that just won't listen to you, and then they hate you for it. And then you go, why do they hate me for it? All I'm trying to do is tell them the truth or discuss the truth. Yeah. And then you realize there's some sort of mind control going on. Yeah. And then you're like, well, why am I not mind control? Am I the mad one? and then it becomes even more spiritual, because then you have to start trusting the voices around, and then you sound even more crazy to the people that are totally closed off from it, don't you? So, and
then you become isolated. And even my close friends, I have to think, with this person I can say these things, with this person I can say these things. I have learned over the years that I can't preach, it's not my role. And I ask this every night when I return to source, what is my role? What can I do? And I'm being told again and again, you have to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we go on, we go all, you have to meet people where they're at, because that cognitive dissonance is just...
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, so this has taken you all the way through, and now would you say that you are still really open-minded about where do you think we are? Where do you think, you know, this last 6 months?
Yeah. Do you know, it's really interesting, because I did a lot of psychic work, you know, like I say, Silver Method, Quantum Jumping, Lover Above, Unlimited, all those were great. But about 5 years ago, I had to work with somebody in person because it was too much online. I thought, this is coming into my work, I'm getting guidance here, my box was presenting things, and I thought, gosh, that's not in the database, what's happening? So we have the most fabulous spiritual teacher in Cheltenham, and I went and did my psychic training just so I could make sense of that. And, you know, Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, I love all that stuff. But so I was training myself, and one of my friends that I met is a medium, and I sat in circle with him when he, you know, channels source, and you get to speak to source energy. Phenomenal experience. And if you want to ask questions of anyone, go there. That is the place. And I just wish I had more time there, because I'd probably lose a good few weeks of my life just, you know, with all the questions that I have. But I have to live in my right brain. I have to live in there as much as possible. I have to meditate in the morning when I get up, and I have to do it before I go to bed. It's my return to source, because although I can function in the 3D reality, it's like playing a game. When you know the truth, when you know the knowing, you start questioning, what is my part in it? What do you want me to do? How, if I'm your spaceman and you're NASA up there, which rocks do you want me to pick up or work with? And, I've thought often, should I have a voice more? My role has been to learn the therapies that we have access to, so that when the people are ready for the healing, you're there waiting for them. That's what I've learned. Now, 6 months ago, when this all kicked off, again, the wonderful doctor I mentioned earlier was doing briefings. We knew about the hydrochloroquine, back in March. We had the studies. We went through all that. We knew what was going on. And you hear the story, it's a hoax, it's a scam, it's 5G, it's all this. And I like to move away from that noise, because I want to be very, very respectful to people and where they are. There are people who have lost loved ones, and with COVID, that will all come out in the future. It's starting to come out now, the figures, so I want to be very, very respectful to the people who have had something attributed to that name, whether it was tested or not, whether the PACR test was right or not. There's definitely people who have gone through that pain, lost their loved ones, worried whether they're going to come out of, even the high profile people, who've got loved ones. I want to be very, very respectful to that, okay? Because there's a lot of people in a lot of pain. But one thing I live my life by is the scale of human consciousness, the David Hawkins work.
Yeah.
And my greatest fear is the people living with fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
Low levels of vibration. To me, that is a bigger risk to their health than a virus. If you'd gone to the doctor's a virus a year ago, it's a virus, go home, your body will sort it out.
Yeah.
I work with people with Lyme disease. You can have two people with Lyme spirochetes. One will develop full-blown Lyme disease, the other one will be perfect fine. What's the difference? It's the immune system, the health of the immune system. That's my bag, that's where I work. Where are we now? If I'd been talking to you 6 months ago, I would be thinking, this is the 5G agenda. They're going to bring it in, they're going to microwave us, they're going to chip us, dumbing down that connection to source, taking our consciousness, taking our soul. And I was very, very fearful. However, that fear made me ask the questions, which I discovered the plan, the cue. I followed what Trump does.
Well, I'm getting big shivers here.
Wonderful, brilliant. And it comes back to when I first knew Trump got in, that gut feeling. Thank God it's not a politician. Thank God it's a businessman who's got experience of, at the age of 70, how many people has he managed? How many people has he fired, apart from on The Apprentice? How many billions of dollars? What is it? Thank God. And for all the people who focus on his orange face, on his hair, you're missing the point.
Yeah, they are.
If there's a light worker who has come to this earth to sort out the problem, it is Trump. Because to me, a true light worker deals with the shit. They deal with the dark and they shine it, they bring it in, so that the light's on it. And his whole, where he's gone around over 200 countries, asking for peace, brought the troops home, stopping wars. My God, we can't. People don't see that. Do people not see that? So
no, they can't see it because the media is still controlled by the.
And I've got a friend, who's ex-military, and he says, "Don't get caught up on the Q plan, Kirsty. It's a GCHQ psyop. I live in Cheltenham. We've got GCHQ down the corner." It doesn't matter. 6 months ago, I was worried sick about 5G. I was listening on, the London Real platform. When I heard about the Elon Musk and the Tesla, brilliant. I'm a massive Tesla fan.
Me too.
Absolutely huge. I wear my Tesla plate every day. It's because of Tesla. He's on my, if you've done the Silver Method, about the table of counsellors. He's on my table of counsellors with Jose Silva, Napoleon Hill. He led me to the website to find the Q plan video. I can't remember if it was this year or back into last year. And of course, when you watch that, you watch the Janet Osbad, you get into all those things, you know. So I try and stay out of the conspiracy of it, saying, what does it give me? How does it help me? What do I want to see? And it comes down to this. I help people with being free from health challenges. There's other people who help people be free from debt. You know, we touch on Jasara and Nasara. There's other people who help them find their vocation, their passion, their purpose in life. We all want the same thing. We want freedom. And freedom from debt, financial constraints. I can't work with some of the people I want to work with in the autism field because, you know, they're from a background that, you know, can't pay my fees, but I have to charge because I'm a private practitioner. You know, that's a conundrum. But we all want freedom. So if we are free from all the health challenges, because those 6,000 patents are given to us, and I've got my order in for the med bed. I am here waiting for the med bed. Just bring them in. Open arms. That will be my 4 hours a day or a week, whatever it's going to be for, you know, Nasara to Sara. You know, if I can help people with freedom from their health challenges, what can they do? If we can give them free electricity, what can they do? If they're free from financial, we all want the same thing.
Well, it's a wonderful.
That's where we've got to go, you know?
That's where we're going, and we're creating it, and we're co-creating it. And the fact that you're here talking about this kind of thing, millions of other people are doing the same thing. And I really think it's unstoppable.
I think so. And, you know, I can remember listening to an online spiritual thing when Trump first got elected and the uproar and everything. And I can remember the medium at the time saying, you all asked for this. Don't judge how it was given to you. You wanted change. Everybody was asking for change. This is the change. Don't get hung up on the how. That's not your job. And if I can leave you with this, I've learned through these questions. I don't believe I've got a big enough ego to not ask for help. I ask for help, and I know every time I do, it comes. And all I have to do is focus on the end result. What do I want? I want freedom for me and my children. Lockdown was a phenomenal time. I loved being at home with my kids. I watched my daughter dance every day. I watched my son be creative and make things and build things. They weren't doing homework. They were happy. They were smiling. They were in the garden. They were in the sunlight. It broke my heart when I had to put my daughter on the bus the other day and all these kids in masks. My God, could have cried my eyes out, you know? So, but I have hope, Mark. I have hope. And I'm not going to get hung up on it has to be Trump or JFK Jr. walking in. Or I trust the plan. There's a bigger plan, and these are just players in it. And that's what, you know, if you can leave people with hope, it's going to happen. There's too many people asking for it. Got to bring it. Got to bring it into the world.
They can't stop this now. They can't.
I don't think so.
Well, I really, really appreciate you sharing all of that, and it's been lovely to meet you, even though it's not in person. And I think it's really inspiring to hear you talk like that, because when the lockdown started for me, you do feel lonely, you do feel isolated.
Yeah, sure.
You go to YouTube, you find some people, and you think, okay, maybe it's not, you know. And then suddenly you start meeting people, you start talking to people, and then you know realize that actually there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us. And, you know, the reason I want to talk to you and other people is because I want to show anybody watching this. I think anybody watching what you just said is going to be full of optimism. You're going to have made their day. You're going to have filled them full of high energy and high vibrations. And that's what this is all about. And I think the fact that you're working in that field, I will bring my kids to you. And the fact that you're working in that field means that the world's a better place. So thank you.
Thank you. That's lovely to hear, because like you say, you know, that dividedness, we've all been divided. That's purposeful, you know, and people like yourself bringing us back together is amazing. That gives me so much hope as well, because it's been an isolating journey. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, I'll see you in 5D.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, Kirsty.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.